Hello again. Today we're going to look at baling, all aspects of baling, just to help you out. So, three main types of bales available. On the map we've got square bales and round bales, depending on the baler you use. But we have got the straw or hay bale normally used, that's the one in the middle. Normally get that if we're doing barley, wheat, anything that leaves a swath on the ground. Then we've got hay bales, that's from cutting grass and then having to ted it. And then we've got our silage bales, which again can only be done with round bales. You have to make them into hay first, then you can make them into silage bales. So that's three main types of bales. Slight problem with my editing, so I missed a big chunk of the front, but anyway, never mind. I say I've got the pottinger tedder. So to do a hay bale in the first place, you've got to cut grass. You can do double amounts like I've done before, go over the grass once, go over it again, and when you get your grass you then need to get a tedder. I'm using the pottinger one, it's the larger of the ones that are available in the game. So you just go over it and it turns the grass over, dries it all out. So it goes from that green colour to that kind of khaki, almost brown colour. That's when you know you've tedded it and you've turned it from grass into hay. So in the distance, just directly ahead of us, you can see the smaller of the tedders. That's a coon tedder, and it is a little bit smaller. Depending on the size of your field, you might decide to use that one. Depending on the amount of money you've got when you first start doing it, you might choose the smaller one. It all depends what you choose to do. So those are the two tedders, and I've turned the grass over, so we've now got some hay as well. So now we're going to go on to the windrowers. So if we're going to do any baling, you've got a windrow, you've got to put them into rows, so you can actually collect them with your baler. So there are three windrowers in the game. Obviously if you're PC playing and that kind of thing, you can download and do all sorts of mods and different versions, but these are the three windrowers that are available. The first one on the left hand side, the smaller one, is a coon windrow. It's only got two discs on it. Then we've got the pottinger one in the middle, that's the medium sized one, that's got four, and then the big one is the crone swadrow. That one's got six, I believe. Obviously the more hay, grass, whatever you're going to tedder, you can drag in. You've got more per strip, so when you come to baling or collecting with the forage harvester, you can collect far quicker the more you've got in each windrow. Which obviously kind of makes more sense. The more windrows you've got, the less you've got in each, the more times you've got to go up and down. Obviously using this big one, you need a big field, you need an open field. So depending on the size of your field, and it's a bit cumbersome, it's fiddly, not fiddly, but awkward to manoeuvre about. Generally speaking, I would normally go for the middle one, the pottinger. It's easy to manoeuvre about. But this is quite a big field, I've got plenty of space to move up and down. So you lower it down, turn it on. As you can see, you've got the six discs all spinning, dragging it into the middle. Just drive at the middle. Now when you're doing the fields, I always try to, and whether it's just I'm a bit OCD, try to get them as straight as possible. When you come to baling or picking up with a forage wagon or even with the forage harvesters, it's far easier to follow along a straight line than it is going around lots of bends and curves. And you know, if you decide to snake across your fields doing interesting windrows, that's entirely up to you. Now, as I said before, this one it's fiddly. It's a big cumbersome thing to be moving around. I've stopped it spinning because otherwise it will keep windrowing bits as you're moving around. It might be easy to fold it and then move it, but then you've got to open it again, and so depends on the space you've got. So I'll do probably 3, maybe 4 windrows. I need a little bit on here to actually get the balers on. I'm using on the front, I've got the Lamborghini Mark 230 VRT. It's 220 horsepower, I think it is. It's fine for pulling these things. The windrowers and things like that aren't normally too bad. Obviously the bigger they are, if you've got a small tractor, it will struggle a little bit. But that's the tractor I'm using today. I tried to use all various different ones, but that's just the one I had on the map already. So as you can see, because of the wide reach of it and the 6 discs, it brings quite a lot into one central windrow. So you've got quite big gaps between each one. which means when you come to do your baling and harvesting, you haven't got to be going up and down as much. You're going to get far more out. As I said before, when I cut my grass, I normally cut the grass, leave it to grow, cut it a second time, so I've got 2 passes, so I've got more grass on the ground anyway. That's more grass that gets tethered, that's more grass that then gets windrows. The less it's on the ground, the longer it's going to take you to do your bales. So it just comes down to your personal preference, what you'd rather do. Now, you don't just need to use this for windrowing grass or hay. You can use it if you've done fields with barley, wheat, and you've been left with a straw swath on the ground. You can windrow those as well, and again for baling or collecting with a forage harvester or forage wagon, that can make life a lot easier. Depending on the harvester you use, the narrower the combine harvester head, the more strips you'll have and the less in each one. The wider the head, obviously the more you're going to have in each row. So you can do this again, you can use the windrower and you can windrow up the straw swaths as well, so you'll get more in each swath as you go up and down each windrow. Again, it can make baling a lot quicker. It's doing one thing to save time on the other. If you spend the time doing the windrowing, it's quicker on baling. If you don't bother doing the windrowing and just do the baling, it probably balances itself out, to be fair. But it just comes down to how you want to do it. So just thought I'd show you that. You can do that if you really want to. I won't go too far, otherwise I'll spend the whole video just doing windrows. Right, lift that up and fold it away. So that's your 3 windrowers, that's the windrowing. So that's your first couple of steps: cutting the grass, 3 steps, cutting the grass, tethering it for hay, then windrowing. So that's your first few steps to making your bales. It's quite a lengthy process, and then you need to move on to the actual bit, the baling bit itself. So we've got 2 balers. This is the New Holland. It's a square baler. It's called the Big Baler 1290. It's a big one. Square bales you can't turn into silage bales, so it comes down to preference. Do you want square or round? Then we've got the round baler. This is a smaller one. This is New Holland, and it's the Roll Belt 150. That one makes round bales, which you need for silage bales, because the only silage bale wrapper you've got in the game is for round bales. So if you're going to do silage bales, you need to do round bales using the roll belt. So anyway, I will jump into the big baler. There we go. Open it all up, unfold it, and drop down the pickup. Now this one is handy because it's completely automatic. You just basically run up the strip, it will do a bale, push it along the conveyor belt, do the next bale, push it along. I think when it's got 2 full ones and it's starting on the 3rd, it will push one out the back. As you can see, it goes up because of the size of the swaths, windrows, whatever you want to call them. They come out relatively quickly. Obviously, if you've windrowed them into bigger strips, they're going to come out far, far quicker. I'm going to do a couple of strips, so what I'm probably going to do in a second is just speed this up a bit. But as you can see, it's automatic. They're just pinging out the back one at a time, ready for collection. They go up to about 4,000. I think each one's 4,000. I assume that's litres. It goes up to 4,000 on the count each time. So I'll just speed this up a little bit. Now when we get to the swath or windrow where I drew 2 together, you'll see how quickly these bales, how quickly it fills up and how many it's chucking out the back. So sometimes it's just, and it's easier then for collection because they're all right on top of each other. So you haven't got to drive as far. That's my logic, but so you can see them, it's filling up way, way quicker, and they're coming out the back way, way quicker. So that's the big baler. It does the square bales. What we'll do now is move on to the round baler. Just empty the back out. Don't want to leave anything in it. Unload the bales. And close it up. Right. what we'll do now then is move on to the round baler. There we go. So the round baler is a little bit different. I think the bale size, interestingly enough, it's a much smaller baler, but it still does 4,000. So it goes to 4,000. Now with this one, it's not automatic. So when it fills up, you get a beeping sound. When it gets to just before 4,000, it will beep, and that tells you that the bale's nearly ready to go. When it does that, it will stop picking up. So you have to back up a little bit. Which we'll do in a second because it's actually going up relatively quickly. So when it gets to 4,000 it will beep like it is now. It will stop picking up, back up a little bit, press triangle and it opens the back to release the bale. Then you press triangle again, close the back and it will allow you to pick up again. So it's a bit more fiddly, it doesn't do it automatically, but this is the only way to get silage bales. So if you want to do those, it does make life a lot easier. And as I said before, depending on how much you've got in each windrow, it can fill up very, very quickly. It can be quite a... it's not annoying, it's what you have to do, but you're stopping quite a lot to unload the bales. It's not a bad thing, you want lots of bales. It's nothing worse than doing a field, tethering it, getting your hay, windrowing it, and then finding you get 4 bales out of an entire field. So the other thing is, we're quite lucky on this map, especially on this part of the map anyway, because it's very flat. If you are doing round bales and you're doing this baling and you're doing on a sloped field, they do have a tendency to roll away. So sometimes baling going down the hill, or even doing your cutting across the field ready for baling, can work better, so that when you do your bales they don't all roll off and disappear. Generally speaking, on maps where you've got hedges and fences, they'll roll as far as that with collisions on. On a lot of these open maps where there aren't hedges, they can just roll away, and you have to then go on a hunt looking for your bales, but that's not the end of the world. So I'm getting quite a few bales out of this, it's not too bad at all. Once I've finished this strip, what I will then do is whiz over and pick up the bale wrapper. Actually, I forgot to say, this one, I just thought I'd go with the whole New Holland theme. It's the New Holland T8 320 that I'm pulling this with. Most of the tractors, interestingly enough, when you look across the game, whether you've noticed or not before, they'll have the designation. In this case it's the T8. Normally the number after it tells you what the horsepower is anyway, or close enough to it. So the T8 320, 320 horsepower. Generally that's kind of rule of thumb across most of the tractor brands. You'll get the model numbers. The T8 is an interesting one. It's not as chunky as some of the other New Holland ones. It's a bigger tractor, but the front 2 wheels are very, very small. I do like my tractors where they're kind of big and chunky. So I do like the Deutz-Fahr, I do like the Lamborghini, some of the other ones where you've got big chunky tyres. So and it's interesting, you go to the T7, that's big and chunky, T9s are big and chunky, even the smaller ones look chunky and compact. This is the only one where it's very strange. So I'm going to go and pick up the bale wrapper. So the bale wrapper, it's an Ursus bale wrapper, and it will only do round bales. You have to set it to open it out, and it goes off kind of to an offset. I'm pulling this one with the, now I'm never sure with this one, Sami tractor. It's the Fortis 190. It's 190 horsepower, which is actually quite a lot of horsepower for a small tractor, and it's not an expensive one to buy. So for a kind of entry level high horsepower, so you pick up the bale and it automatically wraps. So while you're driving along, it will wrap that bale. It takes a little bit of time to do each one. Again, if you're doing silage bales, it can be a bit fiddly. If you're playing on PC versions with modding options available, you can get balers which bale and wrap, so you haven't got to go over twice. You can have it set on either or, so you can just do bales or you can bale and wrap. Obviously, maybe on Farming Simulator 17 we'll have the option to get one. There are quite a few mods that I'm hoping are going to be available on the console version. I know people refer to PCs as the master race, and they probably are. This is the version I've got, this is the version I love playing. I haven't got the money to buy a PC at the moment. So hopefully with modding available we'll be able to do that. So that's the second bale wrap, just to show you how the bale wrapper works. Interestingly, when it puts the bales off the back, which you have to do, it tips them onto their side, so they don't roll away, which is actually quite handy if you're doing these on any type of field. So that's the bales done. 3 types of bales: silage, hay, and the straw ones that we did over on the... Sorry about that, my recording cut off for some reason. We're going to move on to the final step then. The final step of the baling process is bale collection. So 3 types. I say types, there are more than that. We've got auto stackers. This is the Ursus auto stacker. This only does round bales and it will do 8. And then we've got the Arcursin auto stack. This one does square bales only, and it will do 16 in a stack. They're quite big stacks, and obviously square bales you have to manhandle. Now, if you don't want to do auto stack and you want to go old school, I love this trailer. This was done in the modding pack by BM Modding. It's a really nice one. It's a lizard trailer. I do like it. I'm going to show you why I like it in a second. If you've seen one before, fantastic. If you haven't, there are other ones available. There are flatbed options. There's the Fliegel one you get in the game. There's another one by BM Modding, which is like a wooden flatbed, which you can use for putting your bales on if you want to use a front loader, if you want to use a telehandler. But this is great because what you can do is drop the sides down, and for all intents and purposes it makes it a flatbed trailer. Load it all up. They stay right out of the way, so they're not in the way if you're doing your loading, which is fantastic. Square bales are far easier putting on those than round bales. And then when you're done, because when you drive off they can tend to fly off the place, raise it up, holds all your bales in place when you drive away. I do like that one. It's a really good mod. I tend to go for the auto stackers because I normally make an absolute pig's ear of loading up otherwise. So I'll start off with the Arcursin auto stack. We'll go up to the top field and we'll do some square bales. So when we start off with our bales, I can't remember whereabouts the first row was. It's up here somewhere. I'll open up the stacker first, ready for collection. I'm sure it was further up I started. It would have been because I wouldn't have had any bales to start off with, would I? Because I came down, there we go, over on the left hand side. Anyway, so this is an auto stack. It does it all for you. You can't drive too fast. If you whiz past them, it won't register there and it won't pick them up. So there's a limit to the speed you can go at. So it will pick them up one at a time, puts them in 2s, and then shoves them down. I'll do the same with this. I'll speed this up because this will take a little bit of time. As you can see, they just fill up. This will do up to 16 bales. I think I only had 12, is it 12 or 14? 12, yeah. According to the counter. Yeah, I've got 12 bales on there. So you can go up to 16. The stacks are quite high. Now, the tricky bit is, it might be tricky, might not be tricky, is unloading them. It does it automatically, which is fine. You need to try and find a flat surface if you can. If you do it on a bit of a slope, they'll tend to topple over. Try and get your tractor-trailer combination straight as well. That helps more for driving away afterwards, because if you're at a funny angle, when you try and drive the auto stack away after you've unloaded, you tend to knock the stack over. I've done it plenty of times, so I've kind of learnt from experience. So it does it automatically. It lifts it up, holds them in place, and then you can decide if you're happy with where you want that dropped. So you can move it around, back it up, jig it around a little bit before you actually come to putting it down. Like I say, flat surfaces are better. And then to a triangle, and it drops it. Now very, very slowly pull forwards and go as straight as you can, because if you go at an angle or you drive off quickly, it tends to snag on the bales, and all your hard work will be for nothing when it knocks the whole stack over. So that's the square bale auto stacker. What I'll do, whiz back over and we'll pick up the round bale auto stacker. The SS1. It's a nice little one, this. I do like it. The stacks aren't too high, they're not too big. I have found when you're stacking them wherever you're going to put them, you can put them around edges of fields, you can put them in your yards, you can put them by your cow farm, wherever it is you want to put them. Leave yourself a bit of a gap behind and around, because if you are going to use a bale clamp on a telehandler or a front loader to pick them up, you need a bit of space to get in and around them. If you're using a bale spike, it doesn't matter, you can just go in from the front or the side or wherever you want to. So as you can see, auto stacks them, double wide stacks, and it does 8. I haven't got 8 bales to put on here, but I think I will work out about 6 in total. There you go, I was going a little bit too fast. It doesn't always automatically recognise it, so you have to slow down a little bit. Oh yeah, there's one left over by the track. I should pick this up if I get close enough to it. The auto stack function is pretty good. There we go. Okay, so I've got a stack of 6. So same thing with that. Generally speaking, try and find somewhere flat to unload them, otherwise they do have a tendency to topple over. I am going to do an episode on cows and feed, so I will be kind of showing you the bales, the different feed wagons, feed mixers, and basically how to get your productivity up with your cows. I know there have been ones done before, there have been ones done for PCs, ones done. I just thought for a PlayStation 4 specific, the things will be pretty much the same, and it has been done before. If you haven't seen one before, then you know, great. It just means there's a slightly different version. There are a few out there. All I've tried to do is think to myself, when I started out playing this and I wasn't sure how to do certain things, what things did I want to know? What would have been handy to have in one sort of neat package? So that's the sort of videos I've been trying to do. Put them into a neat package so you can watch it and think, great, now I know what to do, start to finish. So that's my 2 silage bales. I only did 2 of those just to show you. It will unload exactly the same. You might have 1 bale on there, 2, 4, 6, 5. It will still unload them. You don't have to fill it up to unload. And then I'll just pop those down on the floor. So same as before, just pull away gently to avoid knocking them over. So that is baling, front to back, cutting the grass, tethering, windrowing, baling, and then collection. Hope it's helpful. Have a go. You'll need it if you're going to do cows. You'll need it if you want to make money with silage bales. But anyway, thanks for watching.